Ding, 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 ding. Vex on the field.
So recently, someone that goes by the name Submatter commented on a video I made with a great suggestion. This was after they complimented me and said my name creeped them out in the same sentence. Thanks a lot, Submatter. No, I'm joking, I thought it was funny. They wanted to see my take on a Gambit build that basically has it all, from ad clearing and DPS to dealing with invaders and survivability. So, I sat down at the drawing board until I was ready to pull my hair out, and you'll never guess what I came up with. Absolutely nothing. Partially because I don't have any hair to pull out. I shave my head. Don't get me wrong, there are some fantastic sweaty loadouts that I could have built off of, like Stasis Titan and Heart of Inmost Light, Necrotic Grips and Witherhoard, or even Revenant Hunter with Aquaboy pants on, but they just didn't feel right for me and my playstyle in Gambit. So instead of overthinking it and trying to make the greatest Gambit build ever to top all of that, I decided to pull bits and pieces from previous builds and do what I do best, and that's goofing off and having fun with an easy to use build, while still doing my part in surviving. But mostly goofing off. I love spamming abilities, especially grenades and supers, so that's what I focused on, and I have a feeling a lot of you are the same way. Besides, nobody's countering that jerk invading with Eyes of Tomorrow. They got so many heavy ammo bricks in their backpack they could barely walk. You know who you are, I'm not mad at you, I'm just jealous because I don't have it. I bring you the not the greatest Gambit build, ability spamming, especially grenades and supers, build, LMAO? I don't know what to call it. What's up, my fellow weirdos? How are you? Before we get into this build, I want to apologize for not uploading a video last week. Between the Destiny servers being a dumpster fire when Solstice launched and the lovely tropical storm we had on the East Coast, there is no way I was getting this video out in time. I truly am sorry for that. If you ever want to know what's going on with me, make sure I'm alive and still kicking, just check my Twitter. I usually don't post Destiny stuff on there, it's mainly just me making fun of my friends, but when something like this does happen, I will mention it over there. But anyways, back to the video. While I was making this, I learned two things. This game mode is in desperate need of some attention, and I suck at Gambit, which is probably why I never play it. And because I suck so bad, I had to call in the big guns and ask my friend Coconut for some help. This man lives for Gambit, and sometimes it weirds me out how much he loves it, but nobody can deny the dude is an absolute unit at it. After talking to him for a while, we came up with some good ideas. I completely ignored everything he said, but we still came up with some good ideas. I'm joking, Coco. He taught me that it's not just about your loadout. There's a time and a place to DPS, how to strategically wait for an invader, and all kinds of other good stuff that you probably knew, but I never really paid attention to. So that is exactly what I built this loadout around. I wanted it to be as easy as possible, work with every class and on all light subclasses, without having to micromanage your build during the chaos. This is going to be broken up a little differently than my normal videos because I am covering a build for all classes. I'll go over the mods I use for all three and then cover the individual mods for each subclass. So, let's get into it already. For the artifact mods, I used Ashes to Assets and Impulse Recycler on the helmet and arms because we're going to be throwing a lot of grenades, and everyone loves faster supers and grenades. If you don't, well then this is awkward. Ashes to Assets gives you bonus super energy from grenade kills, and Impulse Recycler gives you grenade energy back when getting kills with grenades. Both of these mods are stackable. For the Charged Light mod, I use Protective Light to get a 50% damage reduction once hitting critical health. It doesn't matter how many stacks you have, but the more you do consume, the longer it lasts, up to 15 seconds. And for the Elemental Well mods, I used Elemental Ordnance, which drops an Elemental Well that matches your subclass when getting a kill with a grenade, and Elemental Charge to give 2 stacks of Charge with Light when picking up that Elemental Well. Now here's where it starts breaking off for each subclass. When using Void, I added the mod Well of Tenacity, which gives you a damage reduction for 10 seconds after picking up a Void Elemental Well. It doesn't give you as big of a damage reduction as Protective Light, but you also don't have to hit critical health for it to work either. If using the Solar subclass, I added the mod Well of Life, which gives you significant health regeneration for a short period of time. I think I said this before, but it's almost like having a Healing Rift, only mobile. And on the Arc subclass, well, I ended up going with the Charged Light mod Supercharged so that I could carry more stacks of Charged Light. I only did this because there really isn't a good Arc Elemental Well mod unless you plan on punching something within 10 seconds. I don't know, that mod's trash to me, changed my mind. If you don't want to use Supercharged, you could equip Fawn to Wisdom, which will buff your intellect for 30 seconds when picking up an Elemental Well. Or the Charged Light mod Firepower, to regain a portion of your grenade energy when using a grenade, but this does consume 1 stack of Charged Light, so keep that in mind. Moving over to the minor mods, I used melee damage resistance and concussive dampener on the chest piece to reduce point blank range and splash damage. For the legs, I would recommend Innervation to reduce grenade cooldown every time you pick up an orb. And on the class item, it's completely up to you. I left this one open on purpose because some players love using Breach and Clear along with Blast Radius to debuff enemies and become charged with light. And then there's other players who are on the energy accelerant kick right now, myself included. If you don't plan on using either one of those, a good option would be Bomber, which reduces your grenade cooldown when using your class ability, and this is stackable as well. Okay, now that we covered the mods, let's talk about the exotics. I went down a rabbit hole with this one because there are so many good options. I'll break this part down by class and subclass. Starting off with my boy, the Titan. For the solar subclass, I kept swapping back and forth between the middle tree and bottom tree, and the exotic that I found worked best for this build is Ashen Wake. When using a fusion grenade, they explode on impact, and if you get kills with it, it recharges a portion of your grenade energy. And don't forget, with the middle tree, you also get those stacks of roaring flames, which becomes pretty lethal. For the arc subclass, I had to go with the missile, and you already know I'm going to say Caress of the Falling Star to get the bonus Thunder Crash damage along with the overshield. And for the Void subclass, I ended up sticking with Top Tree for the bubble. I found it very satisfying to pop it on the enemy's bank so they couldn't do shit about it, unless they had something like a Nova Bomb. Then they just disrespected me. It wasn't nice. It also works great when the enemy team sent over a bunch of blockers and then invaded. You can pop a bubble right on the blockers and work on them in the comfort of your own little igloo. Or you could just not pop the bubble and use it for ad clearing. The exotic I used for this was Helm of Saint 14, of course, to get an overshield while outside your bubble. Moving over to our fearless space magic friend, the Warlock. On the solar subclass, I kept swapping back and forth between top and middle tree. The well is great for survivability, but I was having way more fun with top tree melee and juking all over the map with Icarus Dash. That shit's fun. And the only exotic you need for this is the Sun Bracers. They increase the duration of solar grenades, and solar melee kills grant unlimited solar grenade energy for a brief time. You can clear a whole wave of ads with one melee and then spamming grenades. It's ridiculous. For the arc subclass, come on. Storm Grenade, Chaos Reach with Geomags. Nothing comes close, unless you just want to tickle somebody to death. And for the Void subclass, I use the Axion Bolt Grenade and Top Tree Slova Bomb because you can cook the grenade to make it more powerful, recharge your grenade by just meleeing something, and the Slova Bomb shatters into little baby Nova Bombs, which could wipe out everything. The exotic I found that works best for this was the Controverse Hold to resist incoming damage while charging your Void Grenade and give you a random amount of grenade energy back. Win-win! We get more survivability and more grenade energy. And last but not least, everyone's favorite hoppy boy, the Hunter. For the solar subclass, I use Bottom Tree because I am a firm believer in practice makes perfect to reduce the cooldown of your Golden Gun, and the Golden Gun can do precision damage. The exotic for this was a toss-up between Celestial Nighthawk for the massive amounts of damage and Young Ahamkara Spine for the bonus trip mine damage and energy. I like them both. On the Arc subclass, it's your choice. All three Arc trees are fantastic at clearing ads. The only thing I didn't change was the exotic, and that was Lucky Raspberry with Chain Lightning Grenades. You can just keep spamming that grenade over and over because the exotic perk Probability Matrix, as long as it's a full chain. And on the Void subclass, to this day, I am still a big fan of Top Tree with Orpheus Rigs. I get this weird satisfaction out of tethering a bunch of ads and getting a big chunk of my super back at the same time. But if you're looking for some good boss damage, the Bottom Tree works great as well. The only difference is, the Orpheus Rigs will give you more quiver shots instead. Now I know I just dumped a ton of information in your lap, and kudos to you if you made it this far in the video. The build is very simple. You can use any weapons you want, like a grenade launcher to proc Breach and Clear if you're using that. A good heavy weapon I don't see too many people use is Sleeper Simulant after the buff, but again, you can use anything you want. The only thing you have to worry about is having a good discipline stat and using your grenades. The grenades will recharge much faster from Impulse Recycler, and you'll get way more super energy from Ashes to Assets. Every time you get a grenade kill, it'll drop an Elemental Well matching your subclass. When you pick up that Elemental Well, it'll make you charge with light, so when you do go into critical health, it'll proc Protective Light, and give you healing and damage reduction depending on which elemental mod you have on. This build is all about getting fast supers and lots of grenades along with tons of survivability. The best part is, you can just equip everything and forget about it. Play how you want. I want to give a big thank you to my friend Coconut for helping me with this video. If you want to check him out on Twitch, I will leave a link in the description. I also want to thank Submatter for picking on me in the comment section and dropping this idea. This was a lot of fun and I hope you like it. If you found this video helpful, a like is always appreciated, but more importantly, just be a good person to one another and have a fantastic day. Thank you!